President mwenyewe Ruto alisema mimi sitaki term mbili. Angalia kuna clip amesema. Mimi wakati was campaigning akasema mimi nipe tu term moja. Alafu nikianguka msinipe. Nikifanya vizuri mniongeze. I can look for you a clip ambayo umeiona. Alisema so yeye mwenyewe alisema atakuwa one term kama akianguka mtihani, atakuwa two term akifanya mtihani. 15% kwa KCSE. Hiyo ni grade gani? Hiyo ni E. Sasa E before watoa issue ya unajua kitambo sisi when we were reading tukisoma primary na secondary ukianguka una repeat. 15 ukipata E there was no promotion. So kama yeye amepata E ya 15%, huyu sasa ni one term. Umeona? Ni one term because 15 ni E. Like kama saizi I can tell you life ya wa Kenya ni ngumu. Kama mimi ma civil servant, slip yangu inalia, my pay slip inalia, yani nangoja imeshinda hata kupumua. Kama sisi kama slip ingekuwa kama human being tungepeleka ICU. Tunangojea huyu wa 15 akitoka hivi mwenye nakuja aiweke oxygen ya mke sasa. My name is Dr Magare Gikenyi. I'm a consultant trauma and general surgeon. I'm an employee of Nakuru County Government, employed in the year 2008. In addition to being a consultant, I'm also a human rights defender. I ensure that the Kenyans, if there is any aspects which the constitution has not been followed, I ensure the same has been followed. Okay, I was brought up in Kisii County, in a village called Mokonge, a village Chikerema near Kionyo there. So after that, I studied in the primary schools of within the called Mokonge primary. Then I went to Kisii School, then to Riakemoni Secondary, where I scored an airplane. I went to the University of Nairobi. I did medicine for 6 years. After that, I started working in Thika level 5 hospital. Then I came to Nakuru PGH, then to Molo, then to Elbago Nyayo hospitals. Then after that, I went back for my masters at Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, MTRH Eldoret, where I did a masters in surgery for around 5 years. After finishing the 5 years of masters in general surgery, I did 2 more years in fellowship in general surgery. In addition to that, I also, after the fellowship, I was a fellow of surgeons of the East, Central, and the South African surgeons. After that, I also did a certificate in leadership and management from Washington University in the USA. In addition, I also have learned law. I have a law degree from the Egerton University. That's what I can say for now. I'm a resident of Nakuru, Nakuru County. I came Nakuru in the year 2009. So I've been a Nakuru resident from 2009 up to now, almost 16 years. And I love Nakuru, and that's why I wish to ensure that Nakuru becomes a best county and Nakuru Town West becomes a very good constituency for everyone.
As a very controversial doctor and an active citizen, maybe when did you came to the limelight?
Okay, of course people sometimes call me a controversial doctor, but I think I'm not controversial. Maybe I just try to make things better. This issue started in the year 2017 when I was at the University of at Moi University, when I was doing my masters. During that time, there was a university student, a lecturer who came from US. When we were in theater, you sometimes discuss as you wait for patients. We were discussing. She was supporting Hillary Clinton, and on my side I was a supporter of Trump, just a supporter. You know, Kenyans, we don't have votes. We just support the way like me. I'm a supporter of Arsenal, for example. You may be Manoti, where you may a support of a different person. You're Manchester. Okay, that's good. So in short, so when we were discussing, when I told her about my support for Trump, he was not very happy. He went and told the HOD of surgery, the head of department of surgery, was called Professor Musau, that I'm a bad doctor. He escalated the dean, who was called Professor Tori. So when I came back, I found that I've already been suspended on the opinion of one American surgeon. So I was suspended without being a chance to be heard. So from that, I moved to court. I filed what you call a judicial review for orders of certiorari, prohibition, and mandamus. So I got an injunction immediately. This enabled me to continue and completed my school. But the same as the case was being heard and determined, even when the case was heard and determined, the court found that the university was unfair to me, that they punished me before hearing from me what they called the right of fair administrative action. So from there I came to realize, so that means the university, the courts are fair. In addition, if you look at even my growing up, when we were growing up as small boys, we used to go to the spring in our rural home in Ikisi. In Ikisi, there are no taps like the town people. They just go with a mtungi. You just chota some water and that's all. But we used to go when we used to go to the springs there, somewhere near Kionyo, Kerema. So people used to chase us out because we came from a very poor family background. So I said, why are they chasing us? And yet, the water was a lot, even it was overflowing. But then I said, when I grew up, I want to make a better society. I try to fight for those who are not able to support themselves. So that is from there. If you add that one plus that case of Moi University, of the being suspended without being heard, I said that I would now become for defending rights of others. That's when it came to the year 2020. 2020 is the time when there was COVID-19. During that time, the term 1 was suspended. Essentially, all the students were told to go home because the COVID was contagious. But when it came back, the then CS for education, the late Professor Magare, said that, and the PS was Professor Belio Kipsang, they said that they will now assume term 1. So I said, it's very unfair, because by the time COVID came, it was around some 2 weeks to the end of first term. But they're now saying, we would assume that the term 1 is never counted. I moved to court here in Nakuru, and I complained, no, it's very unfair. And in any case, that decision was made with us as citizens not being involved. We moved to court, it was before Justice Ngugi, and Ngugi also saw that whatever we were saying was making sense. But even before he can make a decision, even the minister now changed the tune and said, now we will consider term 1. I was very happy that through my effort, Kenyans' parents were saved a whole term. Because a whole term, it means if we were to repeat it, it means there will be more money you use, teachers will do the same work again, and this and this. So we changed that narrative. Then there came another issue about the judges. There were 41 judges who were appointed by Uhuru Kenyatta. Then Uhuru decided to pick 34 and leave other 6. I moved to court. I said that this is very unfair to pick some judges and leave others. If they were all recommended by JSC, then let us appoint all of them. And the law provides that if you have a problem with a judge, you can move the chairs through this Article 160 to remove for removal of that judge. Because I always ask, whereas us citizens are fighting for justice, even judges have also rights for justice. So that time I moved to court for justice of the justices. because I always believe in a fair society. The way my young life was that I suffered when I was young, I would not wish anybody to suffer the same. So that then there were many other cases which came, like for example, there was a time when MCAs were given 2 million car grant to pass the BBI. I moved to court, although the court dismissed the case, but they appreciated what I was trying to put across. Then there was another case where then there's another case which I also put forward, the affordable housing bill. This is a bill which was forced through our throat by the current regime. And if you look very well, it's against the what I call right of the property. You are forced. For example, your salary is your private property. Reason being that you work for it to earn it. Then somebody forces to remove part of your money to be used to build houses for others. Even you yourself, you want a house, you have to buy it. That money which you have already been levied will not be counted. That's not. It's very unfair that if some of us what we organize. There are some people, because if you realize housing is a right. Nobody's against housing. What we are saying is the model. It's like a Ponzi scheme where people are forced to part with money and then others are build houses. In any case, in fact, this even what matters was this housing scheme is in a manner that we use public land to build the houses for private individuals. Which private. If you read the chapter on land, public land is held in trust by National Land Commission. This is not supposed to be given unless it's well alienated according to the law. Now, that's why I pushed the case. Of course, we lost in the High Court, but the case is before the Court of Appeal. In fact, it's going to be heard within this month or next month, and I am very sure the High Court, the Court of Appeal will agree with us. Then there was the Shah case. The Shah case is what I call outright rip-off. This is where Kenyan people were ripped off their hard-earned money. If you realize, the NHIF was essentially working. Of course, it was having some bottlenecks. And the NHIF board in itself said, we only need just 800 million, which is 0.8 of a billion, to make this NHIF better. But through the wisdom or lack of it of this government and the extravagant nature of this government, instead of using 0.8 of a billion, let us even say instead of using 1 billion, they moved to 1 billion, they looked for a system costing 104 billion. So essentially 103 billion was used up by cartels. We have moved to court and even in that case, and the case is so straightforward. We are almost 100% of winning, that this was a straight rip-off. There was, if you read Article 227 of the Constitution, they said any method which you use to select procurement must be competitive, transparent, fair. But this was not. Just some few people, they just picked some few Kenyans, Safaricom Consortium, Apiero, and some guys from Dubai, and then they said that this is the share system. If you realize, we would have used just 1 billion and saved 103 billion of Kenyan shillings. Because if you realize, Manoti, the country we live in, money is a scarce resource. We need to use this money for do other things like education, like infrastructure, health, among others. But if we take 103 for other things, illegally against the constitution, then it means we are affecting other people. So that's what we are saying, and we're waiting for the judgment. In addition, there was another case which I moved to court. It's called e-citizen. If you realize, if you want anything like a good conduct, you have to go through your e-citizen. If you want even a driving license, e-citizen. You want anywhere, e-citizen. E-citizen in itself is not a bad platform. It's a good platform. But the challenge is that they introduced 50 bob on top of what they're supposed to pay. Like for example, the good police clearance certificate is 1,000. You're supposed to pay 1,000, which is a charge, and then you pay 50 bob. So this 50 bob is called a charge on a charge, which is unconstitutional. If you read Article 109 and 110, the government of Kenya is allowed to levy these Kenyans through two major ways: through taxes and or through what they call churches and the levies. Only that. Tax or only to tax and the charges stroke levies. But the constitution does not anticipate you pay a charge on a charge. It does not there. So we moved to court. The court agreed with us that the fifth of their levying is unconstitutional because people were not involved. Even the system itself, we were not involved. But there's another case about the system. Me, I moved about the issue of the fifth bob. And the Honorable Justice Muita agreed with us. That's unconstitutional. But due to this impunity we have in this regime, they have continued charging Kenyans. And I am fighting for Kenyans to ensure that any legal money which they are being levied from them is not allowed. So I filed another contempt application. Contempt essentially saying that these guys are wanadharau authority ya mahakama. We are meeting before the same by 30th of this month, and I'm very sure these people will be forced to effect the court judgment. In addition, we filed another case of what else? Of even this MAT. This is what they call the president came and said he wants to fight corruption. He looks like he's coming from Mars. He has just landed in Kenya. He wants to fight corruption. But I say it, and he meant what he call a multi-agency team to fight corruption. But I moved to court against that because number one, all of us Kenyans, we want this country to be corruption free, and we want corruption to be fought. But we want the corruption to be fought through institutions, not through people or ad hoc committees. Because he said even the irony of that committee, that it will be headed by the executive office of the president. Just imagine that. It's like having a sheep, like a hyena, being the head of the sheep that it wants now to govern. Because if you realize very well, like this case I've told, the e-citizen case, the shark case, if you read the general report, it brings out that this the office, the executive office of the president, one or another is involved in those, what I'm saying. So my question is, if the same executive is involved, then the executive is now heading the anti-corruption watchdog, and yet there is a commission which the Kenyan people are paying called EACC, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, and these are what called independent commissions under chapter 16 or chapter 15 of the Constitution of independent officers. These independent officers are supposed to be independent. They are not. They are supposed to be controlled only by the Constitution, not any other authority. But the president was purporting to direct them by calling them, even they called even the ODPP, Office of the Director of the Public Prosecution. If you read Article 157 sub-article 10, ODPP is independent. They even called the CBK, the Central Bank of Kenya, the CBK. The CBK, if you read Article 231 sub-article 3, it says that the CBK is independent on money to do with the finances. So we stopped the case and the many other cases. So if you realize this, I filed many cases. If we come back to Nakuru, there was a time this governor, we are discussing Governor Susan Kihika, had it appointed CCs, 10 CCs. If you look at them, prima facie, they came from one ethnic community. And if you read section 35 of the County Government Act, you read with Article 10, Article 73, Article 75, Article 232 of the Constitution, it says there must be inclusivity. I moved to court, and the court agreed with me that if you look at these individuals, prima facie, they don't represent the ethnic composition of this county. Because section 35 says that when a governor is making the CE's appointment, he or she must consider ethnic presentation. Why is that section? Number one, that section is not, I did not write it. It was written, it's a statute. It was written by Parliament. So, and it requires, in mandatory terms, you have to consider. So our governor decided, oh, I'm now a governor, it's my time to eat, I will put on my people, I will leave others. But we moved to court, and the governor was supposed to make some few changes so that what I only want is just inclusivity. Because I always say, a wrong is always a wrong. It doesn't matter who does it. For example, even if it's like me, if I was to be a governor, for example, and then I choose all the people from my ethnic community, it will still be wrong. A wrong is always a wrong. It doesn't matter who does it. And what I was asking, I wasn't asking out of magic. I was asking, let us have inclusivity. That's all. And the court agreed with me. So that's what I've said. I did the same. And we've always been pushing that we must be inclusivity, in wherever we do. Inclusivity is the core. Because even if you realize, like even the national government, it also, even when it was appointing the permanent secretary, it appointed 51 permanent secretaries. Out of those, there were only 11 women. And if you read Article 27 of the Constitution, it says, when appointments are made, you have to ensure, Article 27(4), you have to ensure that the 1/3 of your appointment is of the opposite gender. If you appoint 27, if, for example, if there are 30, out of the 30, 20 needs to be one gender, 10 then the other gender. You cannot have the other one moving on the other side. So, and many others. If you realize that's what we want to make this country of ours better. Because why am I saying that? Sometimes they always say, a society gets rotten when good people keep quiet. If good people, for example, keep quiet, it means the society will become bad. In the face of atrocities, they always say, if you remain quiet or neutral, when there is an injustice for another person, then you are indirectly or directly being involved in injustice. That's why, for example, I always say, let us push to have this country of ours being fair. For example, if you read very well, our GDP to external debt nowadays is almost 68%. Which means in a layman language, for every 100 shillings we make, we use 70 shillings to pay debts. It is not sustainable. It means we only remain with 30 shillings to pay for the current expenditure, which means salaries, development, and other things. We cannot sustain. If you see logically, even if you look for economists, they will tell you that borrowing is not bad. There is nothing bad about borrowing, but that borrowing must lead to development. It's like you, for example, my friend, if you were to get a loan of 10 million from a commercial bank, let's say Equity or Co-Bank or KCB, then those 10 million, immediately you come and buy mandazis there. If there's bomb, you kunywa pombe kabisa. But the next day, you don't have the 10 million. Simeisha zote. The problem which will happen to you is that you will have, by the following day, you will have, you would be negative 10 million plus interest. Maybe you will be now negative 15 million. It means you are worse off than somebody who did not borrow. Because the one who did not borrow will have 0 shillings. Essentially, it means he does not have a debt, it does not have an asset, a liability, which is better. So borrowing per se is not bad, but we have to borrow something for development. If yes, it's what we call odious debt. Odious debts are those debts which government incurs without going to expend. Like us, we have even moved to court. If you check petition 216, which we are saying the government, both government, ya Uhuru, ya Ruto, even ya Kibaki, they borrowed 6.95 trillion Kenyan shillings without illegally. Like in Ethiopia, for example, you know how the money is borrowed. You can't wake up and borrow money. There must be some approval from the National Assembly. And whatever agreement you make, that will be made public. So we are moved to court, and we are very sure the government the court will agree with us that those odious debts. They always say, if you see in Article 226 about Article 5, they say that if you order for funds to be misused, and it will be personally liable for you. So for those people who odious debt and it never helped us, we are asking the court to make them accountable. So in short, what we are trying to put across, we are doing all this because we want to ensure our country becomes a better place than we found it. That's what I can say.
You have talked more about accountability.
Yes.
Maybe somebody in Nakuru may ask himself or herself, is this person used by somebody or to fight the government?
No, I can say no. Me, I'm not used for fight for somebody. I told you that Article 3 of the Constitution tells every person, without, I was among except civil, like me, I'm a civil servant. I'm an employee, as we talk about an employee of Nakuru County government. I'm a surgeon. Even saizi nimetoka kufanya surgery. In fact, there were 2 thyroids. Nimetoa thyroid 2. There was another patient alikuwa na breast cancer. Nimeshatoa the breast, what they call mastectomy, ndio to make sure mgonjwa anasikia vizuri. So I'm doing that. But they say every person has a right to uphold, respect, and protect the Constitution. So mimi, I'm not used. I'm just doing what the Constitution says. And I've told you, if we were to write this Constitution, if you realize, a Constitution is a paper. If it was there, nobody protects it. You do anything, imeandikwa tu lakini nobody does. Then we will have a useless Constitution. We have to fight so that the concepts of the Constitution are protected. You know, Manoti, if you realize, even the churches, when we move to court, they don't use magic. Our two pikitu, wanapata the answers. They use the law. They say that this is what the law says, and this is what you do. They compare. If they find that you are going against, they quash it. They give an order, what they call an order of certiorari, which quashes out whatever you are trying to do and prohibits you even for future doing it. So those are the things we are trying to do. So I can comfortably say I'm not used. But the only thing I always say, sometimes people will always say, oh, unatoa pesa wapi? Not just sometimes. Me, I use my own money, my own salary money. The county government of Nakuru pays me for serving people. Hiyo salary yangu natumia kidogo, na natumia for my family kidogo, na kidogo naitoa ndio ni serve people. Because they always say, Paul said this, that there is nobody who is so poor that he cannot give, and or who is so rich that he cannot receive. So that means that even if with those amount of money I have, I want to make a society better. Because I told you, a society becomes rotten when good people keep quiet in the faces of atrocities. So I want to make this society of ours better.
So you have rubbished those rumors.
Yes, I'm not a gun for hire, let me call it like that. You know, I do my things.
Your time, being a doctor, being a
okay. Number one, me, I like my work. Like me, I'm a surgeon, I like my work, I like going to theater. Nataka kutumia kisu yangu vizuri. Sisi tunafanyia watu wa surgery wakilala, lakini uzuri hawasikiangi uchungu. Tuna make sure wamelala vizuri. But I like my work. So what I do, I utilize my work. I wake up very early in the morning after praying, doing some small jog up for health. Naenda sometimes nasomesha my colleagues. We have junior colleagues who want to also be doctors. They are called registrars. We have a program which is called COSEX. Sometimes I go there and I teach them when I have time. Or when sometimes I go to the ward. After that I go to the ward. Nafanya ward round. Kama kuna clinic, nafanya clinic. Kama kuna emergency surgeries, I do those emergency. If there is emergency ni zile, kama kwa mfano ukidungwa kisu saa hizi you have to be sorted. Elective ni kuna shida pengine, it doesn't have to be done the same. Kama kuna elective surgery, elective surgeries you do them. Jioni ukikuja, kama ukiona kuna shida imeaffect wa Kenya, jioni niko na computer kwangu nyumbani. Unakaa chini, una draft petition. Hizi petition zote mimi najidraft yanga at night. Between saa 12 na draft inaisha kama saa 3, then na brush up ikwe vizuri, ma errors zinatoa, prayers vizuri. By saa 6 saa 7 ya usiku na file. Nowadays the former Chief Justice Maraga introduced our system, what they call e-filing system. Yani you can file it while you are sitting at home. So what you need to do after drafting, you just upload the petition and then it goes to the judge. A judge will always give a direction. Ikiona iko na weight, you can give what called conservatory orders. Conservatory orders mean those things remain status quo. Then now from there, when you start, after that, that's the initial phase. Then anakuambia you serve the respondents or the one you have sued. Once you serve them, now it's even better. You don't need to serve physically. You serve through the email. Once you serve, then they come to court, what they call it a part hearing. Then from there, you appear there. From even they appear, you don't appear physically. You appear through what they call online. They have what they call Google Teams. Most of the time nanipata niko theater. Simi naingianga tu nikiwa theater, naingia with the theater gowns, naongea na judge na wao wanaongea the other one. Then wanakuambia give responses, submissions. Then judgment inatolewa. Then the case gets end. So realize I'm using the time very well. I want to ensure that I'm a good surgeon. At the same time, I need to make a society better. If you realize what I was trying to tell you, I've always said like this: if nobody takes care of our society will go down. Why am I saying that? A society generally, if you look critically, is divided into three major groups. There's the upper class. The upper class are those people, who owns this Kenya. Those who have a lot of companies, work on a lot of shares, something, they have big tracts of land, they have money. Majority of upper class, their primary goal is to amass wealth. They have wealth, but they want to amass it. That's the upper class. Then there's the lower class. The lower class are those people who wake up. When they wake up one day, in the morning, they're only thinking of one thing: how to eat. They don't even think about security. They don't think of anything. Hata watujuangi juu ya nguo nzuri, hiyo sio shida yao. How do they eat? Wanafuta kibarua kidogo wakule tu. They don't even think about development. So those are what you call what? The lower class. Then the others are called the middle class. In this middle class is even divided into two. There is a middle class who believes in status quo. They just come, they do their work, they go back. They don't worry about the governance, everything like that. Come assuming you are a media person, they just want fairness. They want kelele nyingi, akuja interview mtu arudi. Kama ni mwalimu aenda somesha, kama ni daktari akuja afundishe aende zaka. They just want status quo, and they don't want constraint sana to change that status quo. They may wish, lakini wako tu huko. And there is the middle class, kama sisi sasa, who try to make our society better than we found it. Sometimes, whether we succeed or not is a story for another day, but we have tried. Because if we don't try, I've told you, a society gets rotten when would people keep quiet in the face of atrocities. So I balance all this time. In addition, I also balance family time. I'm also married, and with the children, I balance them. To ensure that I also see them. Nikienda jioni nacheza na watoto wangu, weekends once in a while nacheza na wao. Life moves on.
Have you all read these petitions?
Yes.
Any day that you have been scared or threatened?
Yes, always. Among the issues, I always get threatened. Both physically, kwa mtu anakuambia, wewe daktari ni wewe ndio unasumbua government na wewe unasumbua county. Wewe mtu anakumekia kelele na sometimes anakugonga. It's one of those things. Second, you get SMSs. Unakuambia, remember there are people who have come before you. Na wewe utapatikana somewhere else. There's some people who call you. They call you and they do that. Then some others even threaten those people whom you are close. But I always say, sometimes if all of us fear, we will not even enjoy the liberty we have. Because I always ask myself, currently we are enjoying our liberty now because there were others before me who sacrificed them. Others sacrificed even with their life. You remember the multi-party democracy, the 1992s, the 2007 and the rest. People even fought, they used in the street, they were shot, and the others died, others are maimed. In fact, if you remember even in the communication industry, we used to have even one broadcaster, the Sauti ya Kenya, KBS hata ilikuwa imeitwa sasa hizi, Voice of Kenya. Sinaona VOK. Hata ilikuwa inaanza 5 AM, inafunguliwa kwanza 5. Ikifika saa 5 inafungwa. Alafu news used to see ni president peke yake. Unasema alikuwa church, alikuwa something AIC, alikuwa na nani, alikuwa na Sakayo Jeriot. Ukimaliza umemaliza hiyo story. News ya national inaisha. Unaingia international. Unasikia mambo ya Palestine ya Sera Arafat. Ukimaliza unaingia sports. So that's what man, even our place when we were, we never, the TV we used to see there was black and white, and we never used to have, people used to have only one. Unaenda kwa neighbor kuona. So at the end of the day, but currently we have repolarization. You just have a remote. Unafinya tu, ukiona hii TV ya Manoti refresh unaifinya. Unaenda ingine. So because of that competition within that one, it means the customer gets a better outcome. So that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, somebody must serve for the betterment of society. Yes. Yeah, I get many things. Through all these petitions, currently I've filed more than 100 petitions. I always get those, daktari achana na hii, kuna kitu hapa. But I always say, if you accept, then it means you are selling your morals. I'm very firm. I always stand firm with what I want. The reason why I went to court is because there was a problem there. So I always stand firm to ensure everything is right. Yes. No, of course unatishiwanga sana. Sisi mpaka we live in fear. We always say ni Mungu anatujali, but I'm always say let me serve for the sake of my community, and my community means the Ubuntu community. Like me, I believe what we call the Ubuntu. Ubuntu means oneness, humanness. We have one community called Ubuntu, a human being. All of us, we live in one community called Ubuntu community, the oneness, and which we work about. So that's how I always say, let me get threatened for the betterment of society. Because if we keep quiet, we never move forward. Even if something bad happens to me, I wish it did not happen, there will be others who will come. And the life will always move on. Yes.
So you are very fearless. You are never...
No, maybe I'm just strict. I just, whatever I want, I always go for it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sasa, can we call you a doctor, a lawyer, or you are both?
You can call me a surgeon. A surgeon is a doctor. And number two, and I am a constitutional defender or a human rights constitutional defender. I want to ensure a society. I always tell you, even I keep telling you, if you see 100 years from now, all of us will be dead. That's the reality of the matter. But the reality, you ask yourself, what contribution have you made when you were alive? So that's why I always try, being a surgeon. We are in the middle class, and even a lawyer is also middle class. But we try as much as possible, we make that society a better place than we found out. Even if when we will not be there, our future generation will live a better life than it was before. Yes, so I'm both. Yes.
Matters law, you work alone or you have some lawyers? Do you have a personal lawyer?
No, me I don't. Me I started by drafting petitions. I did not have any legal education. Nigerian law is a social science. You just read what the constitution says, and you read what the administrators have done. If you see it's outside, you move to court. For example, like you remember, there was even this case where Adan Duarte said that he wants to verify claims. And even the president also said that he wants to make some committee to audit public debt. And yet there is the office of the Auditor General. If you read it very well, kazi ya Auditor General ni kufanya hiyo kazi. But then the president, huyu Ruto, anasema anataka kupaport kujifanya kutengeneza a committee when already the constitution provided for the same. And ironically, even the appointment of those persons, they were not done transparently. There was no advertisement. Just speak, enda ingia, wewe fanya hii, wewe ingia, which is against the constitution.
You have been so tough and harsh.
Yes.
To this regime headed by William Samoei Ruto.
Yes.
Do you have any personal beef with him, or you never supported him during 2022 general election, or what's not?
Number one, yes, this regime, in my view, has made the life of Kenyans hard. I cannot say I'm tough. Number one, I don't have I don't have personal problem with the president. The president is doing his own work, and I'm also doing mine. My work, I'm just checking on excesses of his work. Like, for example, I've told you, Shah, it was a rip-off. You cannot sit down when the president is ripping out of Kenyans in the name of that. Affordable housing, a rip-off. E-Citizen, just a rip-off. You see, ripping out Kenyans. So those are ripping off Kenyans. So I'm just, I can say, I'm tough on the excesses. If you realize Article 132, Sub-Article 4 of the Constitution, it says the president can do anything except those otherwise provided by the Constitution. Which means, those things which he is supposed to do, he can do it. But those which the Constitution has told other bodies to do it, let those bodies do it. So he's trying to be like an overall president, a president who does everything, and yet they're an institution. I always say, for the country to move forward, we need to strengthen our institutions. They always say everybody is corrupt given an opportunity. Even those who are not corrupt, maybe they have not been given an opportunity. To ensure that it doesn't matter who is there, we put weight on institutions, not the people. They always say, if where the rule of law ends, but that's what the former Chief Justice of India says. It's called Soli somebody. He said, where the rule of law ends, anarchy starts. And I can tell you, Manoti, this country is ours. Hii ni country yetu sisi sote. Hakuna mwenye akona country ingine. Anatuhami Kenya, Kenya atuhami. Tunaishi hivi. Anything happens, sisi tuko hapa Kenya. So what do we do? Because hatuna country ingine, we fight for it. Tukipata kuna mtu anataka kuiletea excesses, we stand firm. Like me, I'm a simple Kenyan. Sina gun, sina anything. So the only weapon I have is moving to court and asking the judges to read the Constitution and give me orders to protect the Constitution, nothing else. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I don't have any problem with the president, whoever would be there, whoever is there, even the current one. It's in a personal problem. The only thing I have a problem with him, anapenda kudanganya sana. So like that. Everything. So unakumbuka akisema even gases itakuwa 300. Akakuja akasema, "Oh, si gas ni nini? Ni mtungi tu." Sasa nikashinda mtungi tatengeneza chakula gani? Understand like that? You remember the stadiums? Walisema kulikuwa na stadium. Ile stadium in 90 years, in 100 days, there will be a stadium there. There are no stadiums. Are you seeing the aspect? So wanasema, oh, hii ni bottom up. Pesa itakaa kwa mfuko. So if you read even the what they call the economy index, life of Kenyans are worse off than they were. Just look even how many companies are folding off. Even just check even though there's a section ya company kuingia receivership. Angalia zimeongezeka sana. So ukiangalia this one, the economy is very hard. So it means the buck stops at the president. He needs to make our life better. It's not a request. He even promised that he will make our life better. Like me, my life is very difficult. It's extremely difficult. Kitambo, even in terms of purchasing power, they were strong. So Kenyans have very weak purchasing power. So weak purchasing power means if you were to have 1,000 saizi uende kwa duka, usiende kwa duka kubwa, kioski tu unanunua vitu 2-3 bado zimeisha. So we can tell the pesa wa Kenya, hakuna pesa kwa mfuko ya wa Kenya. Pengine ni wewe peke yako, niambie, wewe pesa iko kwa mfuko kweli? Hakuna. Si ni kweli? So hizi vitu nasema is not that they are magic. Wanasema si rocket science. Ni vitu unaona tu. So you understand? For example, when you realize, for example, walikuwa nasema hii government ya boda, mama mboga, watu kama hivyo. But if you realize, even during the cabinet forming, mimi nilijua tu cabinet itajaa tu mama mboga hapa na watu wa pikipiki hivi. But if you realize, but that's what even I will wish even later when we do the constitution amendment, we amend the constitution, we ensure that once elected, you are not allowed to come in public. If you realize that during that time, there were almost 6 or 10 constituents which had a by-election, which is very unfair to Kenyan. Because let me tell you, Manoti, to have a by-election, ya county moja, almost takes almost half a billion or thereabout, or a couple of millions. So it means we do a lot of things. We use money. We choose you. Then immediately you resign. You go to the minister. Unakuwa minister. Ukieleza akina Murkomen walikuwa sijui senator. Akina huyu Adan Duale alikuwa sijui MP huko. Akina huyu wa Bungoma anaitwaje? Huyu speaker Wetangula alikuwa sijui ni senator. You can remember shida ni ile, we use our money tukafanya election, tukawa choose, then wakaresign, wakaingia in parliament, tukaendelea kuwalipa, but still we also used our own money again kufanya by elections. And as you realize, money as a resource is very scarce. We should use it prudently. So those are the things we are saying. We need to work as a team for Kenyans. We ensure that we have good governance. Sisi pesa ziko na kidogo, we use it very well. You understand? So that at the end of the day, we what they call value for our money.
Yeah.
Even in fact, you have read somewhere. Number one, the audience debt. Number two, you realize you just read in the internet. If you the initial cost or even SGR, ilikuwa pesa kidogo sana. Walikuja wakafanya hivi, wakaitriple now. Then watu wakakula pesa, whatever happens, wanasema mnyonge hana haki, and we move on. Yes.
So then watu wanasema one down, two down.
Yes.
Then another question.
Yes.
About these institutions.
Yes.
We have the parliament.
Yes.
We have the courts. We have AG is there.
Yes.
We have EACC.
Yes.
Unaona kama these institutions wanafanya kazi yao ama they have slept really?
In fact, I can say, if you read the constitution very well, although wanasema there are 3 arms of government, if you read it very well, there are 4 arms of government: the executive, legislature, judiciary, and independent institutions. If you realize, the independent institution was brought up by virtue of the history we had, where the executive essentially emasculated everybody. So the challenge we have currently is that the executive right now, even through appointment, has indirectly emasculated the executive and the independent institutions. That's why sometimes they don't work. For example, even the PSC, when there was there is even the Public Service Commission, when there were four commissioners which were appointed unconstitutionally. One of the members was even a UDA chairman. Alikuwa Kajiado. Alikuwa anakampenia the current president. Akakuwa rewarded in court for being put a commission of an independent commission, despite the constitution saying politician wasiingie kwa independent commissions. Tukaenda kotini, koti ikatupilia mbali, but tumeenda koti ya pili, tukoshoa koti ya pili to agree. So in short, what we are saying, I think the independent institution has let us down. You remember when this issue of MAT, hii multi-agency, which tulisema ikazi anti-corruption acha EACC. Ironically, the same day EACC kakuja kwa press ikasema tuna support hii multi-agency ichukue kazi yetu. Sasa imagine unasupport mtu, unamwambia ananyang'anya mamlaka because na yeye amesha kwa taken up by the executive, anaagiri sawa wewe tufanye MAT because mkubwa amesema. Kazi ya ukubwa inaje? Mkubwa kama mimi I believe in what called servant leadership. Wakubwa, if you read article 1:1 inasema sovereignty belongs to the people. Ukisikia wakubwa wanataka waongee ni the common citizens. So I think the independent commission, to be honest, has let us the country down. We need even to have a national conversation why they have let us down. How can we sort it out? How can we make them better? But I think generally they have let us down. But this is what advantage. Kama judiciary imejaribu. Judiciary you can say imejaribu. But the independent institutions na parliament imekuwa taken over. So nakumbuka even juzi alikubali tu, even the president says kuna 10,000 zilienda, sijui milioni 10, sijui nani alikula. Si mimi nilisema. You understand? Even when they were discussing, there was a time even the president accused the registrars of taking bribes. waliongea kwa TV wakasema you told us to pass your SHA, we passed it for you. You told us to pass for affordable, we passed it for you. Even that word, you passed it for you. That in itself, it means it's a legislature which has been taken over by the executive. Legislators should be independent, should not pass a bill for someone. They should pass a bill because in their own wisdom they believe they need to pass. So that's what the things we're saying. I think the legislature, the executive, they're in bed. Also plus the what? Plus the independent commissions. So the only body which I can say imesimama. Of course we can't miss one or two people na wao wameanguka, lakini majority of it imesimama is the judiciary. At least is the last, wanasema is the last weapon. Yeah. Because if you realize everybody, even people walikuwa wanatukana judiciary. Wengine ambao hao wakora tutawaonyesha itafika wakati, but sometimes wao wakifinywa they still run back to the judiciary. So I think we need to, among the things, number one, we need to ensure all institutions are independent. But above all, we need to ensure the judiciary is independent. Judiciary is our last, tunasema last bullet. Akianguka hivi basi.
Labda ile watu uko na ile sababu DPP mambo anamkitoa kesi huyu ana support huyu sasa anasafishwa.
I can say specifically the office of the DPP is letting us down. It's supposed to be independent. But if you realize, hizo politically correct cases sinatolewa. They end what they call not a prosecute. Wanazitoa. Lakini ukipa saizi kuku tu peke yake, hata si kuku ya nyingi ya 200, hata usiupe kubwa ile ndogo tu. Ama hata iwe panya ya mtu, panya tu upelekwe, huyu hawezi itoa. So we need to ensure that kutoa case, if you look by it, is a noble aspect. And the reason why that provision was put, instead of waste the resources na una evidence unaitoa, it was an idea, but that people, the old DPP has used it as a weapon, and the executive was also used. So that the executive now, they are in bed with the ODPP, wanatoa cases which in my opinion are politically correct. Kama wewe ukiopose government, kama mimi kwa mfano siona wanajuanga oppose government, in case nikipata dola nikiiba kuku ya mtu, mimi kesi haiwezi tolewa. Wanasema ule ni ule mtu sumbua, huyu mpe 10 years. Kwa hiyo akitoka na kuku aliiba amezaa. Understand like that. So those are the issues. Yes.
Do you oppose the government or you are in support of the government?
Me oppose those cases, those excesses. If when they do a good thing, I remain neutral because I am not a government spokesman. This is not the work of citizens who praise government. Hiyo sio kazi yao. Wakona government spokesman hata nalipo kwanza.
Kwa hivyo Ruto ndio akifanya mzuri utapiga makofi.
No, siwezi piga. Government spokesman atapiga.
Wewe huwezi piga makofi.
Mimi siwezi piga.
Maybe so far yes. 3 years.
Yes.
Naona labda he said does ama Ruto labda amefanya anything ambao unaweza piga makofi ama spokesman anaweza piga makofi kulingana na wewe as an active citizen.
Nikiangalia vizuri, I think the score yake ni kidogo. If I was to give him an out of 100%, maybe mimi nitampea 15%. Ama 10.
Labda 15% ni nini? Ningependa kujua.
Number one, how do we call it? Yani ile tunasema essentially because amekaa na ensure there is some sense of law and order. Not just sometimes lack of peace in itself. Hata kama uko na anything, lack of peace, hata kama uko na duka yako huwezi ifungua. So you can say because of that amejaribu. So kumbuka juzi alikuwa anasema a citizen akikuwa karibu na polisi apigwe risasi ya mguu. So you can imagine me am a surgeon. Ukipiga mguu, especially upige what you call where femoral artery inapita. Is an artery kubwa na kuanga hapa katikati ya hapa juu. Ukipiga itamwaga damu, utakufa within a very few time. Kadi upigwe risasi ukiendanga kotini. You understand? That as a president, you have to say presidency is a sign of national unity. Hizo words kama hizo asitakai kutoka mdomo ya president. Kama ni lazima aziongee, kama ni lazima angeongea jini ya tent. ongea na security guys, instead of killing these Kenyans, mpige chini ya mguu. But ukiambia hiyo unajua ni order, yes, the commander in chief amesha order ma police chiefs, akikuona tu risasi ya mguu, unajua hata kusema ni mguu saidi gani, hakusema kama ni kidole ama ni mguu ya juu ama nini, bora ni mguu, risasi kuangukie. Understand? Even now the comedian wamesema risasi ya mguu. So those are the issues. Alafu na Murkomen akasema ukionekana kwa police station, hata ukienda kureport, gonga risasi na yeye. So those are the state officers wanaambiwa citizen wachape risasi. This is what, as human rights activists, we believe hata kama mtu amekosa ashikwe, apelekwe kotini, mahakama ikupata kuna hatia ikupeleke ndani. Polisi wamesomeshwa, tunajua wao wamepelekwa training, wanasomeshwa wapige mtu risasi when their life is in danger. Lakini kupata citizen anaipa kuku tu, hiyo kuku akiiba hawezi kuleta life yako, undakiwa. That's one of the reasons you realize during training wanaambia watu wakimbie. Ndio mtu akipa na kuku instead ya kumshoot unamkimbiza, unamshika. So that's the things unasemanga, let us respect the lives of Kenyans.
Labda in 1 minute,
yes.
Unaona hii mambo na 1 term 2 term ya rais. Kabla tukuje sasa hapa kaunti ya Nakuru.
Yes.
Unaona hii mambo na 1 term 2 term, 1 term, unaona kama huko upande gani ukiangalia?
Mbaki ukiangalia already tumesafa. President mwenyewe Ruto alisema mimi sitaki term 2. Angalia kuna clip amesema. Mimi wakati was campaigning akasema mimi nipe tu term 1. Alafu nikianguka msinipe. Nikifanya vizuri mniongeze. I can look for you a clip ambayo umeiona. Alisema so yeye mwenyewe alisema atakuwa 1 term kama akianguka mtihani, atakuwa 2 term akifanya mtihani. 15% kwa KCSE. Hiyo ni grade gani? Hiyo ni E. Sasa E before watoa issue ya unajua kitambo sisi when we were reading tukisoma primary na secondary ukianguka una repeat. 15 ukipata E there was no promotion. So kama yeye amepata E ya 15%, huyo sasa ni 1 term. Umeona? Ni 1 term because 15 ni E. Unajua kama angepata 80%, hiyo ni A. Hata kama akianguka kama 60 ama 70 tuseme. Tunasema hii unajua is a human being. Hawezi pata 100%. Tunasema but amepata around 70%. Is a human being, he can make error. Let us give him 2 term. Like kama saizi I can tell you life ya Wakenya ni ngumu. Kama mimi ma civil servant, slip yangu inalia, my pay slip inalia, yani nangoja, imeshinda hata kupumua. Kama sisi kama slip ingekuwa kama human being tungepeleka ICU. Tunangojea huyu wa 15 akitoka hivi mwenye nakuja aiweke oxygen ya mke sasa. Because
unaona nani akiwekea oxygen wao wanasema ni united opposition.
Yani mtu yote tu united opposition wataleta and who believes in the rule of law like us, we believe a person who believes in the rule of law. So me my whoever will be there akwe na nini, akwe na how do I call it, akwe na a person who believes in rule of law, constitutionalism and justice and the human rights for all Kenyans, and who can empower us. Not just like, for example, as citizens, I tell you like this: most politicians, in fact, if you have time, read a book called 48 Laws of Power. They say that if you want to rule for life, ensure 3 things. That the subjects, even we are not called the people, at which watu to the subjects. Ensure subjects are poor. Ensure 2 hawana pesa. Number 3, ensure they have poor health. Hizo vitu 3, you rule for life. You understand? So that's why we are having hatuna pesa. So that when during campaign time atatupea 100 because hatuna pesa, tumchague tena. You will come to realize a rich person generally huwezi manipulate. Ukiwa na njaa utakuwa manipulated. So that's why now wherever I am, I always have one thing: empowerment. Empower people to have money in their pockets. Other things, even education that is sought. In fact, if you realize, if you have money, you take your child to a good school. Even if shule government iko na shida zake, utapeleka to a good school. When you have money, you will have good health. That is the best hospital. When you have money, you will have very good agriculture. When you have money, you have good infrastructure. When you have money, so it means everything rotates around empowerment. A good government should do one thing: empower its own citizens. Other things we sort themselves out. So that's what I'm trying to put across. Me, I don't want to comment to individual. What I'm saying, every Kenyan has a right to vie for election. Every Kenyan, even in Gachagua, there's some people who are saying, "Oh, Gachagua." I'm not saying that I'm against. I'm not against Gachagua. Yeah, I'm just neutral. But there's some people who are saying Gachagua does not qualify to be, cannot vie. That's not true. They need to read the Constitution. Unless you exhaust the quote Article 73, they misquote it. Unless if you read that one and then read Article 259. Which is how you construe a constitution. You have to construe in a manner which upholds rule of law, rights of others, human rights among others. If you read very well, up to now, Gachagua has not exhausted all avenue for appeal. Even High Court haijaisha. Kuna Court of Appeal, kuna Supreme Court. Unless and until the Supreme Court, hiyo si opinion, si that unapenda Gachagua Manoti, is the law. Unless he exhausts all avenues, he can still vie. But I am saying any Kenyan, hata Gachagua, hata wewe, hata mimi, anybody, let us give democratic space to all Kenyans to vie. Whoever most Kenyans will agree becomes our president. Sini sawa. So mimi na support any Kenyan to vie, but my wish is that we have a strong opposition, so that kama mimi slip yangu ndio ipumue kidogo. My slip now iko kwa ICU. My pay slip is in ICU. And most employed Kenyans, slip zao zimeingia kwa ICU.
Tunaona Daktari Fred Matiang'i anasema Mr. Fix It.
Yes.
Anakuja kufix your pay slip.
Yes.
Is your tribesman.
Yes.
Unamwona
Matiang'i wanasemanga kwetu wansemanga kifaranga kakiwa kidogo unamuonea huyu atakuwa chogo mzuri. That's a Kisi saying. Kifaranga tu. So I can say Matiang'i is not a bad person. Because ukiangalia when he was in education, alijaribu kulainisha. Nimekata ni yellow buses. Ni unajua hii ni ya shule. Ukipata kuna watu wanaiba hata uwezi iba shule. Unajua hii ni ya shule. Number one alilainisha, and there was some even mtihani ilikuwa rampant kuiba. Ikarainika. Unajua for example ukiiba mtihani, even our grades will not be respected. So akailainisha ikakuwa laini. So I support number one, Matiang'i is a good candidate. If Kenyans agree ni yeye, so be it.
Sasa tukuje Nakuru Town West. Maybe Daktari Magare Gikenyi.
Yes.
Why Nakuru Town West? Utaacha mambo na usanjo, utaacha mambo na law, uingie mambo na kuwa mbunge. And then pia ulituambia if you be given the opportunity, wale ambao ni corrupt, wale ambao sio corrupt, wakipata hiyo opportunity ya kuwa corrupt, pia watakuwa corrupt. You say that?
Yes.
Maybe why Nakuru Town?
So to start with, number one, currently I'm an employee of Nakuru County Government. Najua I know the law. Generally wanasemanga usiingie kwa politics until 2027. And I can assure mimi sitaingia in politics. So I'm a civil servant serving Kenyans. I'm a surgeon. I told you I'm serving. But I'm saying 2027 ikifika, I intend to vie for Nakuru Town West MP. I want to be member of the National Assembly for Nakuru Town West in the year 2027. So that's my intention. So at that time I would request people to support me in my bid to be their member of the National Assembly So the second question, why do I want Nakuru? Why have I chosen to be a member at the Nakuru Town West? Number one, I've been in Nakuru from the year 2009 to 2025 currently. So I'm a resident of Nakuru for the last 16 years, and all these years I've always been in Nakuru Town West. So that's my constituency. So I want to, and why I want to do, I want to empower the Nakuru Town West residents. As I told you last time, if you read the 48 laws of power, leaders always want to govern the subjects. They don't call it people. That's very unfortunate. They don't call them people, but they should be called people. The leaders who want to rule for life, those who want to rule for life, if you want to rule for life, if you read that book, it's a philosophy book. It says you ensure the subjects are poor, they don't have money. Number two, you ensure that they don't have good health. Number three, you ensure that they do what? Health, money, and education. So I will ensure when I go there, I empower my people, the Nakuru Town West residents, so that we can ensure there is money in their pockets. They have good quality health care, and they have good quality education. We need to have a novel, like a very novel day school, boarding school. Number two, we don't have a boarding school for girls specifically and for boys specifically in Nakuru Town West. Nakuru Town West, we don't have a vocational center training institute in Nakuru Town West specifically. For example, I have told you education is good. Sometimes can make our institution better, but not all of us can be able to reach the university. And even if we were to reach, there are some critical services. For example, plumbing. It's a very important aspect. If you have any problem with plumbing, you may not even live in that house. We need plumbing. We need plumbing. We need electrician. We need masonry. This vocational training. We need the electrician, among others. So among others, I need to make sure that we have a vocational training institute within Nakuru Town West. We have a boys and a girls school, especially secondary school, within Nakuru Town West. We can have mixed others, but it's good to have one novel one. A novel school is a school, for example, mtoto wako akienda kwenda tu peke yake, unaona ameshapita. Number two, you realize even in terms of school, while tunapeleka university, if you compare Nakuru Town East and the West, compare those who go to the university, and they are living and they are schooling within Nakuru, because we can have Nakuru Town residents wanasoma outside. That's different. Wale wako Nakuru Town within Nakuru Town West constituency, in terms of what nimeanalyze, sisi tuko nyuma sana. Nakuru Town West, we need to change it. I told you that we need to improve the educational standards. Healthcare, like for example, if you look in Kaptembo, we don't have a health center. The nearest we have is around a health center. We need to put, Kaptembo is fairly populated. We need a health center to serve the Nakuru, the Kaptembo people. A health center. Number three, I told you, for example, me, I'm a surgeon. We receive patients who are in stage 3 cancers in our hospital. We feel very sad. Stage 3 and stage 4 cancers is advanced disease. Ukiona stage 4, even before ambie mgonjwa, you feel really bad. So I want to ensure that we introduce what we call preventive medicine. We train our people that yes, let us go to the, most people go to hospital when they are sick. But now we want to ensure that Nakuru Town West residents go to hospital when they are normal, yani hawana shida yote, wapime what we call screening. For example, let me tell you, for example, there's a cancer which affects women in Kenya called cancer of the cervix. It's very common. It's the number 1 killer in Kenya. Majority of women, tunawaonanga, mimi doctor, we see them. Unafika mgonjwa anaanza a lady anaanza kubleed, kidogo unapima unapata ni cancer stage 3B. Ama 4A, yani you really feel very bad. So if this lady would have been screened earlier. Tungeipata ikiwa either cancer in situ or stage 1A. Tungemfanyia something na angeishi. Stage 4 ni ukweli, hata tukijaribu kusaidia hawezi kusaidia. Utakupea what they call palliative care. Palliative care is this care would you give somebody ndiye asikie uchungu akule, lakini ugonjwa unaendelea, unangojea tu akufe, which is a very sad disease. We want to have our people who strong, because you realize, just check the even Kenya demographic health survey, the number of what we call the young people wako kidogo sana, yani wale wanaenda reproductive age group. Tuko na watoto wengi na wazee wengi. If you realize the pyramid the way inakaa, yani inafura hapa chini iko hivi, hapa katikati iko naro. Najua of course wazee ni wachache. Hawa watu katikati, the middle class, ndio what they call the breadwinners. If we allow them to die, it means we live a society with more old people and the children. At that time, children are not economically viable. As a child, you only become economically viable when you start working. Either unafanya kibarua ama uko employed like that. So we need to ensure that. So one of the things I need to do is to ensure the screening. Screening ifanyike, mtu ugonjwa ipatikane mapema, then we move. Then number 2, education nimekuelezea. Then the most important of all is economic empowerment. Because let me tell you, my friend, if I give you 100 bob, 200 bob, utakula leo, utakuja kesho. The best way to sort you out is to empower you. By empowering is ensuring pesa iko kwa mfuko. So how do I do it? Number 1, there's some money which the government does. It gives out to so people. Kuna uwezo fund, kuna CDF, kuna presidential, kuna many things. If these funds, number 1, ensure is fairly distributed. You realize nilipeleka Susan Kihika kotini because of inclusivity. Yani whatever, kama ni cake, ikuwe divided equally, regardless of ethnic, tribe, region of anything. Kila mtu apata kidogo, equitably and fairly. That's number 1. Number 2, I've told you, money as a resource is always scarce. Always, not sometimes. Even the country, we will never reach a situation where tunasema pesa imejaa sana, tumeshinda baada ya kupeleka. Hata kwako, unasema nimekula pesa, hata nataka kutupa nyingine. Money is always scarce. So government money will not be enough. We think outside the box. We go to philanthropists and even international organizations. We request the support of our people. Like within Nakuru West Milan, there are a couple of CBOs. This is what they call community-based organizations. If we find a philanthropist within Kenya and outside, they help these CBOs with the funds. And even before they are given the funds, I make sure that the leadership or that group is trained. Because if I give you $1 million today, as a group, na ujue how to use it, mtaanza kununua mandazi hapa hivi na pale, then kesho hakuna pesa. Ama mwanze project nyingine which is not viable. When you can have a good intention, you start a project, but if visibility yake, viability yake haijulikani, it cannot sustain itself. Kesho na kesho kutwa inakufa. Sile pesa tuliweka zinaenda into drain. So we need these CBOs, all these women groups, youth groups, siwekwe pamoja. Sitafutiwe pesa za government, nilikuwa nimeanza by virgin government. Sile funds tumika vizuri. Number 2, we do what? We ensure the philanthropists and the I'm a human rights defender. I've moved, nimetembea sana. International organizations, there are many organizations willing to assist us. But they cannot assist us ukika. You need to approach them. Me, I will be the ambassador that time. If the year 2007 and beyond, I will be the ambassador ensuring that money zinakuja. CBOs wanasemanga usipe mtu fish ama samaki, muonyeshe how to fish. Wanajitengenezea yao, kama mtu ako na ICT anatengeneza pesa kidogo, kama ni kawash yao kidogo, kama ni pool yako kidogo, kama ni tent zako kidogo, something kidogo. At the end of the day, you come to realize people wanakuwa na pesa zao kidogo, wanaendelea. Number 2, you even collaborate with even universities. Hao vijana wa Gen Z So even during Gen Z, they used to communicate using phones too. These people, they just want to go. Si lazima upeleke watu wengi. Even watu 100 peke yake within the constituency. Waende kwa this university like Strathmore and many other universities for innovations. Waende tu kusoma, even watengeneze ma-apps kidogo hapa na pale. Even county ikianzisha something, even kama ni parking, wanakuja wanauzia county the app. Wanasema we are Nakuru county resident, tumetengeneza ya parking app. Even kucheck kama kuna mtu amelipa. Kama hata fees kutuma, hata kama hiyo ku spread pesa za CDF, app inafanya tu. So you don't need to do everything manually. So if these young people we put them, even criminality will move down. Because somebody atakuwa somewhere kwa simu yake anatengeneza pesa online. Through that. So they are already doing it. What you need to do is just to empower them. Number 3, you unatengeneza even a nice city hub. And this is hub ni unatengeneza tu a social hall vizuri. Tukue na a social hall equipped. Si social hall just iko tu a building. A social hall with an ICT hub. Iko na computers, iko na trainers. Full time. Workers yako ni kutrain watu. Anybody hata ukitaka kusoma, unaona unasoma kompyuta yako, unalani unaenda zako. You run your knowledge unaenda kujisaidia. So once you do these things, ukizifanya zote, you will come to realize watu wamekuwa empowered. Because I don't want people wakue dependent. I told you and I can repeat, leaders, if you want to, they always want people to remain poor. For example, even this issue of education, let me come with education kidogo. Ukirealize wanapewa CDF. Ukirealize majority of even MPs, unapata watu wameita constituency wakuja kupewa bursaries. Wamama wanakaa huko, jua inawapiga. Even kuchukua form peke yake. Unakuja unapata wamama wanakaa, wazee wanakaa, kunangojea form tu. Hapa ni form, hata say anything else. Then inaject long, then unakuja scramble. Mimi I want to make a seamless aspect. Number 1, I will lobby even my MPs that time, not now. For now nakwambia niko naenda kusahau. I will lobby MPs. Hizi pesa bursaries sikuwe scrapped. Why do I say so? Just think of like this. Kuna bursary fund ya president. Kuna bursary fund ya governor. Kuna bursary fund ya CDF. Kuna bursary fund ya women rep. Kuna ya senator. Hizi pesa zote ni zetu. They are not giving us from their own pocket. Zinatoka consolidated fund. I'm saying, why do we remove money tunapeleka kwa president, governor, MP, what then before sifike shule? Kwa nini tusitoe kwa consolidated fund, siende directly kwa shule? That's all. So unfairness, wewe sema wewe MP aninyima bazari. Hakuna bazari ninyimwa because what is zimeenda shule. Watoto wetu wasome. And you realize education, even in the constitution, education is a right. It's not a privilege. Mtu akikupea bazari ya kusaidii, anakupea pesa zako tu. Not like that. So those are the things which we need to work about. Alafu number 2, there's nothing bad watu kusoma. Watu wakisoma, they make a society a better society. We feel very happy. So if you do that, you empower the people. Nakuru town residents will move very far. Number 2, in terms of water and sewerage, I've learned, me nimeishi Nakuru town west. Sewerage system, in fact, is even non-existent. Sewerage. So what Nakuru people want is water and the sewerage system. And this one I can assure you 100%. Water ni rahisi sana, number 1. Unaenda unaongea na county government na through national government, you collaborate, you ensure kuna piping. But in the unlikely event it takes long, unatengeneza boreholes. A borehole, tuachane na zile government, unajua during government people quote a lot of money, ndio wapeana kickbacks. A normal borehole costs around 1 million to 2 million. Na iko fully functional. Lakini unajua ukienda kufanya procurement watasema unajua mtu fulani lazima alipe 10% yake, lazima VAT ilipe, lazima unapata borehole ina cost karibu 10 million. A normal borehole, mimi nimesha jenga even a borehole that's 1 million. So that's what I'm saying, I will ensure these funds we use to organize even borehole, to work even in different parts. I may not have sorted out the water 100%, lakini still utapata iko already sorted out. I will ensure tukae na watu wa geology, watafute hiyo maji iko sawa, iko safe for consumption, tuangalie fluoride level, tukipata iko sawa. Kama si sawa, kuna what we call desalination. We can make a small plant ya kudesalinate water. We ensure. Then water, then sewerage system. We work with the county government. This is their work of providing sewerage. In addition, you can even ask the World Bank. Me, I'm in the health sector, so I understand. World Bank, there's even some money which it provides, especially for low socioeconomic class. If you can lobby it very well, you can always get money. Ujitengeneze a major sewerage. Well, unajua kazi yako si kutengeneza hizi kidogo kidogo. Hizi kidogo kidogo ni kazi ya resident. Unatengeneza the bigger pipes, zile zina where they join. Then the residents unawa request, mimi nimefanya bigger work, kind in your small money, zile pesa uko nayo kidogo, tafuta plumber ule tulisomesha kwa vocation training, mpe pesa. Enda kwa ile duka ya mama Muraha, mama Manyaboke, ama mama Wanjiku, ama Kibeti, anauza pipes hapo. Enda ununue pipe hapo. Unajua tunampromote. Tafuta plumber ule wa vocation training yetu akuwekea. So you realize ule mtu wa duka amepata kitu, ule kijana tulitrain kwa vocation training amepata akuja kujoin the main pipe. And life moves on. You understand? So those are the things which we need to work as a team. There are many things which needs to be done, but you don't need to do a lot. They always say you can do a small thing to have a big impact without using big money. For example, I'm telling you, so not like nilikuwa nakwambia, like e-citizen inaona watu 150,000 to 500,000 per day. Na nakwambia kuna pesa waliongeza ya 50 bob ya kukula. Ukipiga hesabu, they make almost 600 million to 750 million in a 1 month. So mimi nilitumia pesa zangu kidogo kufanya repetition. Nikasaidia wa Kenya kukandamizwa hizo 600 million. Are you seeing? You can use a small amount to have a big impact. Even in Nakuru West, you may find ukiambiwa project proposal upate billions of shillings. Utawaambia sisi hatutaki hizo vitu nyingi. Let us tuweka the main trunk peke yake. Yes, among us. So what I'm trying to put across, and if it is not, it can happen through what called participatory leadership. Participatory, you call all people. We may have good ideas, but you call 1, 2 to 3 heads, they have better ideas. I'm saying good ideas become what? Better ideas. So at the end of the day, I will make a society, because that's what we want to jaribu make society better. Yes, you were asking something.
Unajua Nakuru West is a cosmopolitan county.
Yes.
It is in town center.
Yes.
Maybe what can you say about this politics of adults, politics of Gunism?
Okay. Number one, before I answer issue of Gunism, issue of employment is very critical. Number one, as an MP, you're supposed to be ambassador of TIA where you can. Your causes as many as possible. Sometimes you may not succeed, but even more important, you can even encourage private developers to develop within the constituency. They employ people, and thirdly, you can have what you call dual training, where the industry players come and tell the training institutions what they want. Because sometimes the challenge we have, the training institution trains so much which the industry does not need. So number 3, I told you, issue of Gunism within Nakuru town and handouts is a recipe for chaos. I told you, once you have money in your pockets, nobody will tell you to be a goon of somebody. This Gunism will always come because people are not empowered. If, for example, you are full-time, like yourself, doing some media aspect, editing, sharing, getting likes, and you may not even have time to be a goon of somebody. So I think the whole I told you everything. Once you empower everybody, empowering does not mean we do one work for all of us. Kuna mtu anafanya ICT kidogo, kuna mtu anafanya car wash hapa, kuna mtu ana pool yake hapa, kuna mtu anauza mboga. Even mboga in itself, na make kama kuna kipana kubwa, anatengeneza inakuwa kubwa. Inakuwa commercial agribusiness. Unajua like in Nakuru Town West, iko na watu wengi sana. Iko na 6 wards. Those people need to eat. If we empower people wako na agribusiness. Si business ile ya kutengeneza mahindi uende kukula. Yani agribusiness, you make agriculture for business in big time. Even hata historia ya nini, sio like for example even kama hizi za watu wanapanda even sukuma kwa unia. You use a small space, lakini unatengeneza unia kubwa na unaenda kuuza. You don't need a big land like 10 acres. So if we have experts, they train our people. What to me the small space, they do a very good agribusiness. That's part of it. So that's nakwambia this huyo unasema umeuliza gunism, we don't need to come because people are idle na hawana kitu ya kukula na kula kitu kwa mfuko. And I told you most leaders they want people to be in that state so that they can rule for life. I told you if you read the book 40 Laws of Power, they always say if you want to rule subjects or people, ensure they are poor and so they don't have education, ensure that hawana pesa, education yao ni chini na health yao ni mbaya. So that's what has been there. It causes what they call vicious cycle of poverty. Unakuwa poor, I will come nikupe 200 unichague, then nikupe 200 uendelee kuwa poor, 5 years ishe nikupe 100 tena. So that vicious cycle can only be broken by empowerment. The hallmark is what? Empowerment. Let money sikue kwa mfuko ya watu. And if people like that, if they are there, so be it. Because sometimes even these leaders wanagopanga. Ukiempower people wanakuja kukutoa. But I've told you my work in life, mtu kama mimi, is to make a society a better place than I found it. If I can train a youth, asome kabisa, hata afike masters, tumpe even afike PhD, akuje na better ideas, akuje anitoe, I'll be very happy. It means I will have achieved to find a better leader than myself. Yes.
We understand it very well.
Yes.
And you are witnesses.
Yes.
You can't survive in politics without money, and politics and money goes hand in hand.
Yes.
Maybe siasa yako.
Yes.
Kuna mambo kuna handout.
Yes.
Na pia kama wewe ni mwanasiasa and you don't have money.
Yes.
First of all, do you believe money matters in politics?
Yes, I can say yes or no. Ukiangalia politics has evolved. Kitambo unajua walikuwa nasema if you don't have money hata usivae. But we have seen cases where people without money have been elected. So there's always, that's why I've said yes or no. For example, there's a woman labor Bomet, alikuwa anaita Toto. I'm very sure you read the story. Hakuwa na pesa. But the people, waliona this is what it. Hata mwenye alitoa, in fact if you remember, mwenye alitoa, I can't remember the name, alikuwa very wealthy politician. Akamtoa. So sometimes me I think the politics of money, it is there and at the same time it's not there. Of course as a politician you need some money, either you print posters, watu wakujue, ukiita watu for example hata kukunywa chai. Sini unakukunywa chai kama mimi tukapa kukunywa chai is not a crime. Sini ukweli. But what I'm against is monetization of politics. That the high money you have is the only reason why you should win. Me I'm against that. Number one, I can tell you, Mimi, I have what I can call enough money. You understand? Which can do basics. But they don't have money to bribe voters. I don't. If, for example, me, I will send my policies. If the Nakuru residents, in their opinion, pick the one with a lot of money, so be it. It is their right. I told you, Article 1:1 states the sovereignty belongs to the people, which means the sovereignty of Nakuru West is the only Nakuru West people who will decide. If they decide they want to give people with money, so be it. I will respect their wish. I see that aspect. But at the same time, I will still preach to them, telling them that money alone will not change a society. What's there, we need to empower the Nakuru Town West residents so that at the end of the day they have money in their pocket. And I told you, if you ensure that the people are economically empowered, next time even people with no money, without money will be elected. Because kila mtu akona pesa. So they will start looking among ourselves. Since the kila mtu akonayo, among ourselves, who looks like akona good policies, what I'm choose. And that's what we want to do. We want to change the politics. And the changing of politics starts with us. It's not the future generation, we start with us. So that at the end of the day, let us have politics of ideas, because sometimes people always come with slogans, this, but ukimwangalia what he's saying iko empty. Like you realize even na kutuma saizi, you will try that time, because mimi na chance of campaign. When I start campaigning in 2027, unisikize, I will never, and you just keep this clip later, I will never attack I will never attack a person. I will attack issues, what I call issue based campaigns. Si ni kweli? Mtu anaweza kusema wewe uko na kichwa kubwa, that's not the issues. Wewe pengine umevaa kiatu mbaya, that's not the issues. So let us have what we call issue based politics. Because I told you, even after politics, let me assure you, even after politics, we will remain being here. Hakuna mahali tunaenda. Tutakuwa na kuta on desert. Kama poverty iko tutaendelea nayo. You understand? So that's why sometimes I always believe, me, I don't attack people. Even my opponents, even when they will be there, I don't know which one is your opponent ni gani, but when they will be there, when nikiingia politics, I will not attack opponents. Because me, my issue will be what? Issues. We want to empower people. Personally, I always believe in empowerment. So that the big boss, I always call the voter as the boss, because Article 1 says the sovereignty belongs to the people. So if the people is the one which I will convince, niwaambie mimi niko this and this is what I want to empower. And I always say, that time when we come, many of us will come to vie for the seat, which is a good thing, which is a democracy, which is not a bad thing. But I will always say, ask the voters to look, what Rwanda could buy, what have they done? Sometimes they always say, for those who believe in the Bible, of course, Nakuru West is not a Christian, they are a Muslim, they are Hindus, we still respect them. For those who are a Christian, like me, I'm a Christian, we need to ask ourselves, within the Bible there's somewhere walipewa, kuna mtu alipewa talent mbili, akaweka chini ya kitanda hakuzitengeneza, mwingine akapewa 4 zikakuwa doubled, akapewa 5 zikakuwa nyingi. So wanasemanga, in your small way, what have you done to make a society a better place than you found it? And I can tell you, for example, like me, I can tell them, in my small way, I've fought for inclusivity within a Nakuru County government. In my small way, I've ensured that even the national government do not awasumbui wa Kenya. There was even a time hii government ili change ID ya new voters, ilikuwa 50 bob, wakaipeleka 1000. Nikakapeleka kotini tukapata na injunction. Then wakakuja kurealize wamekosa, wakaitoa 1000 ikafika 300. So through my petition nilisaidia wa Kenya kulipa that amount. Saizi wangekuwa wamelipa 1000. So it means those form 4s wanatoka shule wangekuwa wanalipa 1000. And I know Nakuru residents, they are not among the high socioeconomic. Majority of people hawana high socioeconomic status. They can living. So there's some people wanafikirianga 1000 pesa kidogo. Like me, I can tell you, when I grew up as a young boy, I grew up in abject poverty. Hata kukosa 10, hata kupata 10 ya chumvi ni ngumu sana. So nimekuja kurealize in life, people can miss 10 bob. So see pesa which citizens are not supposed to pay, you should not force them. So they were saying ulipe 1000. There's some people who have never seen 1000. It means their children of matter form 4, they will never always go on ID. Now you know in Kenya, kama una ID huwezi pata kazi. So essentially they will be forcing these people to fisher circle of poverty. Fisher circle means poverty inaenda round. Mama yake alikuwa poverty, mtoto wake poverty, kina mama yake poverty, na inarudi back. We will never develop. We need to break these chains of fisher circle poverty by empowering our people. And that's why even when I do my public restitution, I always fight for the Kenyan people, for the common mwananchi, so that at the end of the day we ensure that we always say we may not change the world. You understand? I may not change, others West change in Nakuru West, siku moja ikuwe kama America, I would never. But what I'll do a small thing, small too, which will make a society a better place than you found it. Yes.
When we are running now,
yes.
The politics of Kenya, it's all about money.
Yes.
Mambo na chama,
yes.
Political parties,
yes.
Mambo na tribalism,
yes.
Ethnic profiling, everything.
Yes.
It's obvious umesema wewe bwana Ruto wanda.
Yes.
You the other side.
Yes, Ruto nilikwambia ni yeye aliniambia nikuwe one term. Sikutaka nimmeki. Alisema mwenyewe nitakutafutia clip nikutumie. Alisema that's what he said. Alisema Ruto 10 yangu 10. Mimi nimefikiria nione hiyo sio vizuri. Mimi nataka tu 5. That's what he said. Lakini nikifanya hiyo one term nikimaliza munipige. Nikipita mtihani munipe another term. Nikianguka msinipe. So ni yeye ndiye aliniambia anataka kuwa one term. Because nimeangalia hiyo project zake zote ako na 15%. Nimeangalia KCSE, ukiangalia hata certificate yako uende uangalie nyuma. Hii inaanzia 0 to 24. So yako na 15. So nikamweka hii. Nikasema hii shwari, ni yeye alisema akianguka akue one term. So yeye aliniambia yeye ni one term. Yeye aliniambia sikutaka.
Kwa hivyo 2027 Mungu akijalia.
Yes.
Utakuwa baadaye mwingine.
Mimi ndio
chama bado hujajua ama bado ushajua.
Hiyo kuvaa 2027 si mimi nilikuwa nataka. Ni wananchi waniambia daktari, tunaona unafaitia vitu sana. Unafight inclusivity ya Kenya mzima, hata county mzima. Kwa hivyo wakaniambia wakaniambia 2027 ikifika tunataka ukue mjumba wetu. So sinaona hiyo sitafika. Lakini nikasema wanasema watu wakikuita hiyo ni wito wa Mungu. So ikifika 2027 mimi nitafanya Nakuru Town West.
Na umekubali vile watu wamekwambia?
Nimekubali lakini hiyo siku ikifika. Sikwambia sasa mimi ni civil servant. Mimi kazi yangu ni kusaidia watu na kisu kwa theater. So that time ikifika na naona wauliza tena. Sasa mmeniambia nikuja hapa mndaka chama gani? Simeona huyu tumesema hii ya Ruto alisema already yeye hataki kuchaguliwa. Alisema akianguka apewe one term. Sasa amepata 15%, so akakawa one term. Sasa ingine waniambie ni gani? Unajua sasa nakwambia sovereignty does not belong to a leader. Sovereignty angalia article 11, sovereignty belongs to the people. So kila kitu ni nini? To the people. So hata nikichaguliwa, which I think Mungu akinijalia nitachaguliwa, nitakuwa nauliza watu sasa kama nyinyi ndio sovereign. Unajua sasa MPs wanapewa watu called delegated power. The direct power, mtu akona real power are the citizens. Whatever I do nawaambia wakubwa wangu, what do we do? Of course as a leader you can offer leadership, lakini you don't have to force. Tunaambia mimi nafikiria hivi. What do you think? So that's what I'm saying.
Maybe why do you think you will be the best candidate?
Yes.
Not like the one who is serving, which is someone like Arama.
Yes.
High for the fourth term.
Yes. Number one nimekwambia ninajaribu kuavoid kuongea politics of the people. Yaani mimi si kuongelea mtu. So nilikuwa na request hiyo ya mimi siwezi ongea. Because number one, anybody, any Kenyan, hata wewe, you have a right to buy. So hata ule amebuy, the constitution does not aikatai how many times you can buy. So hiyo whoever atabuy ata-answer for his own question. So let me answer for my question. So mimi nimejiangalia, nimeona hata ni watu wameniambia tumeona unajua mimi tumeona what you are doing is a good thing because nimesaidia Wakenya. Ndio mimi personally naendanga mara nyingi sana pale nyingine tu, hata kuna mtu kama tunaendanga hivi conference, kila mtu unajua conference unajinda uintroduce unasema mimi naitwa Dr Magare Gikenyi. When you know Dr Magare Gikenyi from Nakuru, so people know the name even kunishinda mimi, which means that name imewafanyia kazi. Back everywhere. Hata nikipata mtu anijuange. Hata kuna wakati nalipanga kama hii supermarkets. Unaenda supermarket nyingine hawakujui. Ukilipa hivi inatokea kwa screen. Magare Gikenyi. Wewe ni Magare Gikenyi. Hata tela ananijua. Anajua jina yangu, which means in my opinion ni wao wameniambia, wamenona what I'm doing is good. In their opinion they want hiyo ikifika wanipe a big platform ya kuwafaitia. Yes, that's what I'm saying. But still, after even buying, I respect the will, the sovereignty of the people. If Nakuru town resident agree ni mimi, so be it. If they agree somebody else, so be it. I will respect their opinion. Because me, I believe I'm a Democrat. And I always say, for example, hata saizi mtu akiniita, even my opponent aniite tuende kukaa na yeye, I will go. Because wanasema mtu akataange wito, akataanga lile aitwalo. Alafu number 2, even if you meet your opponent, mnakunywa chai. In any case, you are not enemies. Si ni kweli? And this politics 2007 itaisha tu to the back to where we were, and we will continue being friends. You understand? So me matter your politics, even if I may not even my political opinion, it will not like nina hate mtu as a person, na hate those governance aspects. Once inachenjiwa mtu akapisha, is a human being kama mimi. All of us were born the same by we are descendants of Adams, so we are the same people, and all of us will die.
And that time things go south.
Yes.
Will you go back to the theater, or and if you succeed?
Yes.
Then yes. Will you change?
No, me number one, if I succeed, the way Maurice 2 ways. Come, I succeed in politics. If I succeed in politics, number one, I continue with my activism. Where even we have opportunity ya kufanya surgeries for the Kenyan people, nikiwa MP nitafanya, because even you have seen even MPs were lawyers representing client in court, even rights for people. Sini sawa. Unajua mimi will be a lawyer, will be a surgeon nikiwa parliament. Number one, nikiwa that time, it means I will still represent somebody amefinywa in court. At the same time, kama there's a patient pengine ameumia ndaka kufanyiwa surgery, I also to do the surgery. I will maintain my standards. Sini kweli? If I don't win, that's part of life. I'm still a surgeon. Kisu yangu iko. Ndaendelea tita na kisu. Life moves on. And I still continue doing what I will not leave. I will still continue fighting for Kenyans and the Nakuru town residents. Even if I don't win, I will still continue fighting them. Because the passion I have for them is not conditional. Tadi mukikataa ndawaacha. No. It's my passion for my heart. You have to assist, because my major aspect, I need to empower the people. Because they always say a leader, you don't have to be a leader who is elected. Even the way you are a leader. Even if you're kwako nyumbani, you are a leader. Even kwa kanisa, you are a leader. You don't have to be a leader when you are elected. Like me, for example, I'm a common Kenyan. I file petition, they help Kenyans. I'm still a leader. Yes. So
what to Kenyans, so Nakuru West residents as?
So my one work for Kenyans and Nakuru residents as a whole, even Nakuru Town West as a whole, I always say, just remember what I've said. That the leaders always, when leaders want to govern people for life, they ensure they ensure they don't have education, they have poor health, and they are poor. Hawana pesa. So when that time comes, I will ensure, I will empower them. Once kila mtu akona pesa, everything will always do. And finally, I always say, the way they say, you may not change the world, but what you need to do, you do a small thing which can make our world a better place than we found it. That's all I can finish with.
Maybe to Manoti.
Yes, Manoti, finally on you, I think I take the opportunity to thank you a lot for taking time kunitafuta na kufanya interview, so that it can be, there's some people who will learn about me and become better persons. At the end of the day, we will agree what you have said. In your small way as Manoti, to even telling this information I have through other people, and reading and getting a positive aspect, you have made the world a better place than we found it. So that's the same I tell all Kenyans. In our small way, tujaribu kidogo tu to make this society yetu. Let us make our society a better place than we found it.
Thank you so much.
Asante sana.